Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be going over the Mythic Store update. There has been a little tease on what is to come in the next Mythic Store. That is of course where you can get some characters. It has a 3-month turnaround, 90 days, and we had got an exclusive character in there last time around. I didn't expect that to happen every season, and there isn't going to be an exclusive character this time around, but there is going to be some new additions and we're going to read through it. And it says, hello survivors, with the Mythic Market reset around the corner, we wanted to share our plans, including a couple of changes and some additions. While some fighters will be leaving the Mythic Market, some different fighters will become available as well. In addition to this, we will be adding 4 all new 5-star weapons to the Mythic Market, a different weapon for each trait. Each weapon will cost 50,000 TWD gold medals, with a limit of 1 redemption for each. Check them out below, along with all the other changes coming on the 26th of May 2022 at 3 PM Pacific time. This would of course be the reset time in the actual Mythic Market itself. So we'll go through the separate weapons, and first weapon is going to be Wangfang's Berserk Machete. We actually had Wangfang as the exclusive character last time around, and we are going to get his weapon. He was holding it in his art, he didn't have it attached, and it was a cool looking weapon, and it still is a cool looking weapon. If we see the stats on it as well, they look pretty decent. 35% HP, 30% defense, bonus AP, all team members receive 8% AP at the beginning of each wave, and then in the last slot is going to be fast healing. Each turn up to 2 teammates regain 10% HP for each fast teammate on the team. This is a pretty decent defensive weapon. Of course, you would want to swap out that 3rd slot for something else, but otherwise it is actually pretty good. You could go for absolute defense, 45% HP. I think you can craft slightly better, but getting fast healing is a monumental task sometimes. I've been trying for like 6 months on a couple of weapons. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. So then being able to, give out a weapon that actually has it on is actually pretty decent for people who don't have any fast healing weapons, or are brand new to the game, so on and so forth. But the weapon is extremely expensive, 50,000 TWD gold medals. It's worth 2.5 gold mythics by their value, the promo versions. I myself have like 150,000 gold medals right now, and I don't really spend them that much, so it is quite expensive to get your hands on this. Kind of reminiscent of the old League Store weapons, let's say. We'll move on to the second weapon. It is Andrei's Precise Assault Rifle. I would have expected something quite defensive here. However, we're going to get like an Uncle Sam style weapon where it's got 35% attack, 35 crit, a bonus attack, 35% attack when attacking enemies of more than 65% HP. And in the last slot it has Rampage, which is going to be when hitting a critical attack, it does deal damage to 2 additional targets for 150% of the basic attack. So it's actually pretty decent, just the fact that, again, kind of like the fast healing weapon, it has got Rampage on it. It isn't as good as the fast healing weapon, no, because it will require multiple upgrades, basically, that you won't be able to put 5% on this weapon. I think you'll be able to get this weapon to 40% attack. You're most likely going to want to go for huge bonus to AP instead of crit, and you're most likely going to want to go for like something like double attack. You could go for like the enhanced version of double attack, unless there is an attack team character that comes around that has very low AP, like 55, then this weapon is not going to be great unless you put huge bonus to AP on attacking there. Like there is Yumiko. That's pretty much the only character this could potentially be used on. Just the fact that she doesn't actually need AP on attack on her weapon. So again, another decent weapon. Again, Rampage could be something that someone's been going for a very long time and they got unlucky. We did get a Rampage weapon selection recently, and I think that was that Uncle Sam's weapon in that crate? I wouldn't say that would have been a good weapon to go for in that crate, especially considering the other weapon that was in there. But I know a lot of people do want Rampage, haven't been able to get Rampage, and when you're presented with a Rampage selection, you're probably going to take it. So yeah, that's the way it goes. It does look like a cool weapon though. Visually on the left hand side, it does actually look really cool. I like that. Now the next weapon is Diamond's Jarring Cowboy Pistol. This is Diamond from the Challenge Run series, the Alert Challenge Run. You can get her through Challenge Run. I would have expected a more offensive based weapon, but we're going to get quite a defensive based weapon. But so far I'd say this is the best weapon out of them in terms of just like all the upgrades are legit as hell. We've got HP, 30%, 30% defense, stun when being attacked. It is the basic stun rather than the focus stun, but it is stuns regardless. And in the last slot, it has cleanse, a better chance to remove 1 negative effect from this character at the start of every turn. This is going to be great on certain characters let's say you could have Red Governor hold this weapon and it'd be absolutely fine. Most defense team characters, honestly, they don't need AP on attack, so it's absolutely fine. The only downside is, like I say, it isn't focus stun, so it isn't the like premium stun. If you do stun a target, you don't get focus yourself, so but that's the way it is. You can just upgrade this to like 45% HP or 45% defense, depending on the characters whose hands you've got in, depending on the leader you've got. And the cleanse is something hard to come by, and I've always said that crafting defense team's weapons is always kind of like not that great, because the second you get it, the second you get that weapon, you never really see it again. You just equip it to someone in your defense team and you just never see it. Whereas those attack team weapons, you craft it, you're using it, you're seeing it actually work, you're seeing, you know, the big damage, the boost, it's your team's increased in power. It's much nicer to craft attack team weapons. It's not fun at all to craft defense team weapons. So yeah, this is quite nice. I think overall, just all the slots here are filled with something that I'm actually pretty happy with. Whereas the other weapons, there's always like one slot where it's just like, why? But not so much on this one. Now, adversely, we went from the best weapon in these weapons, and we're probably going to the worst one, which is Valkyrie's Fierce Broadsword. And we have actually talked about this in my stream recently. We went over some of the characters that had some weapons attached that didn't have them actually attached to them, but had some cool weapons in their art. And Valkyrie's was one of the ones that I was like, damn, that weapon looks sick. Just this massive green sword. And it hasn't turned out amazing, if I'm honest, but we'll look at it. It says 35% attack, a very large bonus to AP when attacking, bonus attack, 35% attack when attacking enemies of more than 60% HP, and in the last slot it has strong attacks. At the start of each of this character's turns, all other teammates get 10% attack for one turn for each strong teammate on the team. Now, there was a much better strong attacks weapon given out recently in that crate, so if you wanted a strong attacks weapon, that would have been the time to pick it up. But if we just don't even think about the fact that that one weapon exists, this weapon is just not that good in terms of like being in Valkyrie's hands, for sure. But also it has just like the weakest overall upgrades on it. Again, you're probably going to have to go for huge. I know it's only 2 AP, but it can make a massive difference. And then you're probably going to go for a better third slot as well. Again, only getting up to 40% attack. And considering that buff in the last slot doesn't go on the character holding this weapon, they're going to need all the attack they can get. So if they're only getting 40%, like I say, it's not very good. What I would have preferred to see on this weapon, especially just making sense with Valkyrie's kit, I would have definitely preferred Magnified Strikes. Another weapon that, you know, it is kind of niche, but it would have been kind of cool. I would have picked it up instantly, where basically you do bonus damage against characters that are stunned. That would have been absolutely amazing. And as long as it had huge bonus and 35% attack, the third slot being not very good, I could have swapped that out and just decided where to go. But the fact that it's very large, yeah. Every weapon has to have huge on it, basically. Otherwise, you know, right now, even if it's got huge, you're still not getting 66 AP after 2 turns. So you're still relying on something to happen to get you your rush naturally for turn 3. But like I said, I don't think this weapon is the best out of these weapons. I think, like I said, it is the worst. But because it's not a choice, you can pick up all of these weapons if you so wish. They cost 50,000 TWD gold medals each though, and that is extremely expensive. Like I say, it's very hard to come by those gold medals. You can only get 7 claims per month, which is 35,000 in the bits shop. And obviously through tournaments and the daily roadmaps and stuff, it's very, very, very slow accumulation. So it's not great. And it's funny because these are so expensive. I know it's probably making them that expensive because there's a lot of people out there with huge amounts of TWD gold medals because they've had nothing to spend them on in the Mythic Market other than, let's say, Wangfang last season. But it's really hard for newer players. Someone who is wanting to like pick up maybe the odd character, which I am not picking up. I'm not picking up Mike in the current store. I'm not picking up Lydia, but there are definitely people out there who will be. They're going to be using their TWD gold medals there, and they're not going to have any for any of these weapons, or they might be able to progress and get maybe one of these weapons. There's not even any like pay to win structure in here. This is becoming so reminiscent of the old leagues. It's nuts. Like, there was no pay to win structure in that, where you couldn't like get more season tokens by paying, but there was this like weird pay to win sort of element in it. It's becoming the same sort of situation. So very strange overall, if I'm honest. Now, it doesn't say, but the weapons most likely will only be around for this 90-day period. I wouldn't expect these weapons to refresh. You're not going to be able to pick up like 2 fast healing weapons, for instance, or like, you know, double rampage weapons. So if they do anything in 90 days, it'll be something different, or it might be a different set of weapons. it might be a new character, but these weapons are most likely only in here for this season. Now, they may appear somewhere else another time. For instance, they could go into the League store in the future, who knows, but if you want them, now's the time to get them. Now, the last part of the update is going to be the update to the characters in the Mythic Market, and this is probably the most disappointing part of it all. Now, I was disappointed in Valkyrie's weapon. I was hoping for something just cool because of her weapon, how it looks and stuff, but the character situation is really sad, honestly. In the past times they've reset this, they have completely reset everything, so it's been a whole batch of new characters. But this time around, that's not going to be the case. We're going to see Connor being removed from the 10% character list of the 4 characters that are there. And we're going to see Wayland and Shiva removed from the 90% characters. And the characters being added are Mirabelle into the 10% and Jackie and Yumiko into the 90%. These aren't going to do anything for what is needed in the game right now. And I was actually talking about this in a recent podcast. I think this market reset was a test. Because if they didn't put someone like Steve in here for people who needed him because of all the defenses that are currently going to be required, it just shows they either are kind of out of touch or they just don't care. And so take your pick, basically. And that's what this Mythic Market is basically saying to me. And this is what the Mythic Market is probably saying to a lot of other players. They're not putting any defensive team characters in here, but in a month's time, we're expected to have 25 defense team characters like ready to go. Now for me, I've got a lot of defense team characters. I'm kind of fortunate, but other people have not been playing as long as I have not grinded as long as I have not hit all these event characters, and they're not going to have their 5 Steves. They're not going to have maybe even 2 Steves, and he's not even been available. He's the best 90% defense team character out there, and he's actually hard countered even still. You know, Easter Eva absolutely destroys him, but he should have been put in this store. He should have been put in this store. Some of the characters that stayed in the store are kind of cool, though. I will say that keeping maybe the leaders in there is actually decent for the defense leaders, and maybe leaving Mike in there. But there's a lot of attack team characters in there right now. There's like Eva and Princess in there, and if people wanted them, they would have picked them up last season. I don't think they're like too important to pick up. And the same thing can be said for like Mirabelle's Edition. She's like one of the very first characters that ever got released, and she's being put into the 20,000 slot. Now, I know she's a 10% character, so it makes sense, but Ezekiel was the first ever character released, and he's in the 20,000 slot, and Mirabelle's in the, you know, one of the second. If you wanted those characters, you got them already, most likely, because Ezekiel was in the museum previously, and Mirabelle was in the old version of the Mythic Market, you know, the old bit shop, and she was one of the first characters put in there. So I know some people potentially missed out on her, but it's going to be a very select few people. So this is aiming at people that like haven't played, but those people need defense team characters more than anyone. So it's like just such a strange situation all around. Like this is aiming at the wrong people and giving them the wrong thing. This is just really, really bad in my opinion. But what can you do? What can you do? I think this definitely, you know, there's still time maybe to fix this. I would definitely say putting Mirabelle in there is a bad shot. But I mean, anyone else honestly who's a defense team character. But what can you do? So that's the update to the Mythic Market. We have got some decent stuff in there with some of the weapons. We've got some maybe meh stuff with some of the weapons, but we've also got some very questionable stuff with the character situation. Especially, like I say, what's on the horizon, how many characters we're expected to have on defense teams ready and raring to go. It's a kind of weird situation, honestly. And I think it's going to affect a lot of people, especially people coming back to the game. Like I said, me personally, this is going to affect me directly. I've got a lot of those 90% characters already LB3, but a lot of people don't. I wouldn't have picked up Steve because I have him. But I think he would have been a good character for a lot of people to be able to pick up. I do look at that Mythic Market and see it as more of a place, a source for people who maybe don't have a lot of the older characters or are coming back or trying to just like maybe get the last character here and there. But if you're not providing the characters that people will need, especially considering massive changes that are coming, like I say, this is the only one that's really weird. Introducing a new change, 25 defense team characters, don't introduce a defense team character in the Mythic story set. It's not like people were saying this already. This is a good opportunity to do it, but it's a big fail on the character front, without a doubt. But your thoughts in the comments, guys. I want to see them, and I'm gonna guess I know what they're gonna be about. Just remember, my video. You can hit the like button still. It's not my video is not what you're gonna hate. You can hate the update, but don't hate my video. But thank you very much for tuning in, guys. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.